Did you just see that episode of Noblesse? This week's episode was the best visually directed, most stunningly animated, most engaging with its characters and its storytelling, the future of the show with how it ends, and you even top it off with a little bit of comedy after the credits with talking about some serious subject matter. Hey, these characters kind of know what's going on now. I think it's time for change. I agree. It is time for change. Let's change up the ramen flavor. This week's episode was perfect for me. I wouldn't change a thing, as is a masterpiece. The fights, the characters, the interchanging relationships, and honestly, probably did the best thing you could possibly do for Rizel. Give him a weakness. I said it last week, Rizel's basically the king. When his soldiers fall, he comes into the front lines and he takes everyone out. You assume he will take everyone out, and he did so with grace. But the idea that after the battle and he's coughing up blood and you have Frankenstein saying, "Did you push your body too far?" That shows to me that it's not like he can just continue to do these blood spells and this insanity. It could cost him his life if he pushes himself too far or does too many things at the same time. You just gave your strongest character, who the viewers assume is indestructible, a handicap, something that says even if he can defeat everyone, there could be a penalty on his own life. That is how you make this show close to perfect. This isn't going to be a series for everyone. This isn't going to be a show that everyone likes across the board. But I've liked it since Awakening. I've liked it since episode 1 of this season. And after episode 6, this series has reached exactly where I want to see it. The character banter, the relationships, the butting of heads, the comedy, I love that type of content. But the serious storyline has really found its groove and succeeded with what it wanted to tell. You could have just had Frankenstein's fight and I would have been satisfied. The shot composition in this show is extremely underappreciated, and I haven't done my duty to appreciate it as much as I should in these reviews. The number of times you get such fascinating shots where each side kind of looks like they're about to win with how they're directing it, and then you would see this magical, spiritual energy just shooting across the board, which was so fascinating and just so engaging to look at. Production IG clearly had a lot of fun animating this episode, and this was really the first episode that truly feels like they kind of like flex what they could do with this series and this material. But then again, this isn't going to be their biggest show of the year, so they probably can't throw all their resources into every single fight to make it look this engaging. But I'm glad they saved their talent and their time for where it counted, because this fight on the rooftop, the fight down in the building, were stunning and some of my favorite I've seen in this season. I'm not even exaggerating. To see just such butting of heads and being like, oh, Frankenstein's clearly gonna lose, there's no way he's getting out of this, and then he seemingly unlocks his true power, and I thought what it was him kind of doing like a friendship trait where, oh, he's realizing like, oh, you're saying you're gonna hurt my master, so I'm gonna get this power up. And honestly, I would have been okay with them just leaving it as that, because there is that situation where you hear parents basically being able to do superhuman things when their child's about to be killed. I thought it was a similar situation with Frankenstein and his master, but you actually get some very interesting kind of information where it seems like way back in the day, Rizel said to lock your powers away and only if I command it you're allowed to use it. And it doesn't seem like it was a literal thing, more or less it's something like a binding oath because they have such a good connection. So for him to actually abandon that and use his full power, it does show you how much he cared about that situation. But something I really like about Rizel, and it doesn't even just specifically go towards Frankenstein, it's people that he cares about across the board. He doesn't view them as minions, he doesn't view them as people who have to obey his every command. If I told you to lock away your power, I did so for good reason, but if you broke that oath, it means you did so for good reason. He doesn't think of him as someone who's just mindlessly disobeying orders for no reason. He doesn't even need to hear why he did so. If you believed you had to do it, I agree with your statement. There's a moment in this episode with Rizel where the two friends of his are saying like, please save these people. They're begging, they're crying, they're basically groveling at his feet. And he's mad that they're begging him. Like, why would you beg me? All you have to do is say, if this is what you want, I will do this. You're my friends. It's very easy to make a scene like that feel very cliche, very typical, but for a character who's very stone cold, you can't really tell what he's thinking. He'll stare at his ramen for 10 minutes of an episode, and you can't tell, is he about to crack a joke that's not a joke for him, but just pure facts, or is he about to advance the plot in some way? You don't know what Rizel is feeling. So for him to walk up, even though you knew he wasn't going to slap him across the face, I was expecting a no. I'm going to be honest. I thought he was going to say, I don't know these people, I don't really see why I should save them, and for him to be like, why are you begging me? It really does go to show why people would want to follow him. He really does invoke the confidence of a king. He's someone who has no problems leading the battle if he needs to inspire his troops. And the fact that they don't abuse Raizel's abilities, they don't throw him at every single obstacle. You do have M21, you do have the other nobles and things like that. It's very interesting to have that type of concept. And in this episode, when I was seeing what he was doing with the whole Blood Oath thing, I was like, okay, if he can do this, there really is no threat. You can just send him into every and other battle. And to see him cough up blood afterwards, it really did give me a sigh of relief. That was the one thing I was a tad worried about, but I was willing to give it the benefit of the doubt, saying Noblesse knows what it's doing, it's probably nothing, and to see that weakness, it really does give me a sigh of relief. The whole idea of Takeo, as well as Tao not wanting to go with this guy and not wanting to get consumed, I mean, you have one who's basically on his deathbed saying, please tell this one person who saved me that I'm sorry, and Frankenstein's like, you can go tell him yourself, which I really did like. And then you have the other not wanting to die and trying to fight back, but really, there's no one who can really stand in this guy's way except for Raizel. And to see him actually like protect these kids and just obliterate them, and then to get the transition back into the seemingly mundane, it was nice to see that they didn't erase memories. I thought they were going to go that direction again, like in the Awakening OVA. So it was nice to see that things are changing, and that's another good point I think for this episode, is they didn't go back to what the OVA did. Big epic battle, and then we're going back. Now granted, the normal students, maybe their memories have been manipulated, but seemingly all of the supernatural elements are at play here, and they're going to remember, and that's really going to shape the foundation going forward. The only other like really big thing, and this episode had quite a few, was M21's true potential. This is a character who beats himself up. This is a character who doesn't value his own life because he doesn't know what it is to be human and feels like he's weak and incapable. I mean, if you were in his situation during all that and you had to have Raizel come in, you would feel pretty pathetic because you feel like you're already feeling pathetic, and then all of this, you couldn't even save him. It does feel like, wow, the guy comes in, he one-shots him, where I was like almost dying and things like that. But to see his true form even briefly, it does go to show you what this guy is capable of, and I hope we do get to see that true form actually unlocked by the end of this season, because it'd be interesting to see what that would look like in combat. It looks very cool. It looks like a Beastman sort of a situation, but I hope we do get to see more of that down the line. But it's nice to see that he can just take his blood and show him that true potential. It really does go to show you like what the Noblesse is really capable of, and it's kind of insane to think about. This episode just had a lot of emotion. There wasn't too many jokes and things like that. There's a couple of moments at the dinner table and whatnot, the comfy scenes, but this was an episode that was meant to blow you away visually, blow you away with the action, and make you say, I don't know where this is going. And they even shocked us with Raizel actually seemingly having even a brief weakness, even if it's not something that's going to pop up too much. Knowing that this man can be harmed after seeing the damage that he was causing to others, it goes to show you that no one is invincible in this show, and I really do like the whole king formula that they're putting on Raizel, where everyone else is a character, a main character alongside the king himself. Let me know your thoughts and feelings on this week's episode of Noblesse down below. Did you love it? Do you hate it? And where do you think it might go next week? If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like, share, your support, and also hit that subscribe button if you happen to be new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.